Weekend assignment number 4. 1, you are just simplifying, so you're just combining like terms. So you've got 2x terms. You've got a positive x and a positive 2x, makes 3x. You have 2p terms. You have a 5p and a minus 8p, which makes minus 3p. And then you have 2 whole numbers, negative 4 and a positive 7, make positive 3, choice 1. Number 2, you're going to evaluate, and they told you what the variables represent. So all you have to do is replace the variables with the appropriate number. Then use order of operations to solve. So you always want to start with your exponents first. So negative 3 cubed would be negative 27. And negative 3 squared would be a positive 9. Then I can multiply, and I'm just going to multiply left to right. So negative 2 times negative 27 would be a positive, and then timesing that also by negative 2 would be a negative 108. And then 4 times 9 is 36. And 108 minus 36, negative 108 minus 36 is negative 144. Number 3, you are going to solve, and even though it's fractions, still start and solve the same way you normally would. I'm going to distribute. So I'd get 7/3 x. And when I multiply fractions, I'm going to multiply numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. So I'd get 63 over 84. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to eliminate my denominators. I don't want fractions, and these aren't going to be nice decimals if I try to change them into decimals. So I'm going to turn every piece into a fraction and then try to find a common denominator, which actually all of these could multiply to 84. So if I multiply this first fraction by 28, 28 times 3 is 84. And then I also have to multiply the numerator, and that would give me 196. This one already has a denominator 84, so I'm not going to do anything to that one. And then the last one is just 1, so I'd have to multiply the entire thing by 84. And you would get 1,680 over 84. Once you have that, I can now eliminate the bottom because they're all the same. So now I can just work with the numerators, and I've got whole numbers, and it's going to be so much easier to solve. So I can subtract 63. $1,617, and just divide by 196. So x equals 8.25, choice 1. Number 2 is exactly like, or number 4 is exactly like number 2. You're just going to replace your x's with the appropriate value, and then use order of operations to solve. So I'm going to do the exponent first. Then I'm going to do the multiplication from left to right. Now negative times negative, that's going to turn into plus 10. And so 8 plus 10 is 16, 8 plus 10 is 18. 18 plus 6 is 24. Number 5, we're going to solve the inequality. And to make it easier on me, I'm not going to do the common denominator thing, even though there's a fraction, because this is just going to be easy if I just change it to 0.5. It's a nice decimal, so make it easier on myself. And then just because it's an inequality, don't let the 3 off. Solve it like you have been equations. You are going to use inverse operations to rearrange. Oops, that should have been a minus 3 there. So I get negative 9. And then divide by the coefficient. Now I'm dividing by a negative number, negative 1.5. So remember, you have to change the direction the inequality is facing when that happens. You get x is greater than 6. 6 through 9 is a matching section. So we are going to solve each of these. So I'd get 8 is greater than or equal to x, which would be choice C. Because if I plugged any of these numbers where the shaded region is, plugged that in there, Like 8 is greater than or equal to, the arrow is pointing this way, so I can pick any of these numbers. Let's say 5. 8 is greater than or equal to 5, so that works. And greater than or equal to, I have a solid dot over the 8, so that worked. Number 7, solve real quick. Again, I divided by a negative, so I'm going to flip that inequality. And I get x is less than 8, which works for letter B because it's a less than, so I have an open circle over my 8. And if I plug in any of these numbers where the arrow is facing, let's say 4. 4 is less than 8. That checks out. Number 8, easy to solve, but again, I'm dividing by a negative, so it would be 8 is less than or equal to x. This one ends up being D. And let's just check. So D, the arrow is pointing to the right this time, so some of my numbers, let's say 10, plug that in. 8 is less than or equal to 10. That is true, that checks. And then last one, so the last one should be A, but let's just solve and double check. X is greater than 8. So if it's A, it is greater than, there's an open dot, that works. Let's plug in, again, 10. 10 is greater than 8. That does check out. On the back, we are solving our linear equations. So I'm going to distribute. Then use my inverse operations to rearrange the equation. I totally mixed up those numbers. That should have been negative 30 and then plus 33. So that actually is a positive 30. So when I go to divide, I get x equals 1. Whoops. All right, number 11, we've got a proportion, so you're going to cross multiply. So I'm going to do negative 4x times 2. And then this negative 1, when I cross multiply, there are 2 pieces it has to get multiplied to. So that turns into negative x plus 7. So when I go to solve, I can use my inverse operations to rearrange. And this time, I end up getting negative 1. Number 12, again, I'm going to cross multiply and make sure this 2 gets multiplied to both of those pieces, which would turn into 8x plus 4. And then that 5, I'm going to multiply to both of the other numerators, so that'd be 5x minus 5. And again, just use your inverse operations to rearrange. Get the x's on one side, the whole numbers on the other. And then divide by x's coefficient. 13, don't let the decimals throw you off. Use your calculator so that you're not making any mistakes with the decimals, but you're still going to solve the same way. We still start by distributing. Then use inverse operations to get the variables on one side and the whole numbers on the other. And at the bottom, some word problems that we want to start by translating. Double the sum, right there, I know I'm going to be doubling it into sum of a number and 5 will equal. So if I've got the sum of a number and 5 and I have to double it, I'm not just going to write 2 because that's only doubling the x. I want to double the sum, so I have to put that in parentheses, is equal the number increased by 24, that means addition. And then solve. (15) 14 less than a number. Remember that keyword less than means you're going to flip the order of what it's originally written as. So I'm not going to do 14 minus x. I'm going to do x minus 14. Because when it says less than, that's the piece you should be subtracting. So 14 has to be behind the subtraction sign. Is the same as cutting the number in half. Now I like to do 0.5 times my number if I'm going to cut something in half. And increasing by 2, so that means adding 2. Ooh. Brain's going faster than my hand is writing. Now it's 16. And then just divide. Which, remember, dividing by a half is the same as multiplying by 2. So you'd get x equals 30.